What's up? Welcome in. Hoge and Jahns with you. Second episode of NFL Combine Week. Although if you're watching on YouTube, you can already see I am no longer in Indianapolis. And Johnsy's, see, I got scared of the bench press is what happened. You look like you're in line to do it.
I am about 15th in line. They are pumping them out behind me, if you can see. I'll move out of the way a little bit here. Second one of the day. Thank you, Kent, for giving everybody a bird's eye view. Here we go.
And we are definitely getting sued by the NFL Network now for filming even the people watching it.
Yes. It's intense. I love it.
I'm setting the over-under for you at 2.5.
For me, back in my heyday, we'll call it my heyday of working out fresh off football, I got it 8 times. Believe it or not, 8 times.
Wow.
Believe it or not, yes.
Okay, then I'm lowering it to 1.5.
Yeah. Now, if I got it once here, I would give myself a first-round grade.
Ah, okay. I'll always give you a first-round grade.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. I had to leave early. I'm kind of bummed about it. There's a flu bug that's just ravaging my house while I was gone, and you got to take care of the family. So
yeah. Hey, responsibilities, man.
Got the phone call yesterday. It was like, somebody needs to take care of the kids, so you need to come home. And that's unfortunately what happened. So I am no longer in Indianapolis. But you are, and Kevin Fishbain is going to be joining us here shortly, too.
We believe, allegedly. Yeah. I got an eye on the door right here, bench press behind me, door over there. I'll give you a heads up if he comes. You said about 10 minutes from now. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's kind of like you at dinner the other night at Elmo's.
Yeah. I was only 45 minutes late.
I was okay. At least you're admitting it was 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not embellishing it or not embellishing it either. I was well over 30 minutes. When you reach the point in the text messages where you get the "What do you want? I'll order for you." You better hustle up to dinner. I got that from Kevin.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I better get over there. Probably.
Yes.
Well, welcome in, Hoge and Jahns. Follow us on Twitter at Adam Hoge, at Adam Jahns. Plenty of combine coverage this week. NBCSportsChicago.com for myself. TheAthletic.com/Hoge and Jahns for both Johnsy and Fishbain. You had a good column up today, kind of just on Poles and Eberflus getting this thing rolling at Hallis Hall. I actually have some thoughts on some of that stuff from some conversations I had yesterday. Kind of how that's all going so far. So we'll get to that here. And I got to say, though, I think the best thing I read on The Athletic this week was Bo Wolf's Starbucks story.
Fantastic. That line has been obnoxiously long this week. I had to go for the media room coffee today because it was 25 people deep. I got a line behind former defensive line coach Chris Rumpf. I had to be here. I lost my patience and came this way.
You know what I will say? A lot of places in the world right now understaffed. Those people at that Starbucks at the JW Marriott are trying as hard as they can to pump those coffees out.
Yes.
I'll give them credit, but it is a long line. It absolutely is. If you missed it, though, Bo Wolf live blogged the Starbucks on Tuesday, which was just a hilarious idea, and it was really good. So, like even Ryan Poles got a shout out in there for showing up, and I think
Ian Cunningham is the assistant GM. The new assistant GM is Oatmeal Guy.
Yeah, that's what he did. He actually had Ian Cunningham's order nailed down. So if you're into something like that, I highly recommend that story. And of course, all of Kevin and Johnsy's coverage this week.
But that's really the scene, right? Like people talk about the workouts here, the interviews, but so much of it is what happens really not behind the scenes because it's a scene itself, but that's the combine. It's the coffees. It's the running into people in the hallways, setting up meetings in lobbies of hotels. It's having beers at midnight, with an agent. That's the other side of the combine. I think that Bo revealed a little bit.
So let's do you want to start with the former Bears quarterback or some of the stuff you wrote about on Poles and Eberflus getting this thing kicked off?
Well, let's wait for Kevin to get here to talk about the former Bears QB.
Okay.
if you had some thoughts on the fresh starts, the fresh grass being offered, and the new way to view film at Hallis Hall, let's hear it. I'm interested to see what you got.
Well, I had some conversations yesterday, and I think mostly positive of just sort of from people who have been interacting with these two new figures at Hallis Hall, right? Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus. Because for us, we've had two opportunities to talk to these guys. So we don't know them that well. So I'm trying to get some insight. Like, how's it been going? What have meetings been like? What are your first impressions? Because I think I'm a huge first impressions guy. And some interesting stuff came back to me. I mean, I think one thing I think is key, and you put this in your column today too on The Athletic, Ryan Poles kind of came out on his own and complimented his scouting staff, which is really Ryan Pace's scouting staff, right? And in some ways it goes even farther than that with some of the guys we talked about the other day.
Some of them are Phil Emery's guys, even further than that, yeah.
Now, you kind of take that with a grain of salt. Now, I think it was genuine what he said, but you still have to kind of be careful because, he wants those guys. I'm sure there's uncertainty amongst the scouting staff. They don't necessarily know what their futures are, so you're trying to keep them happy, motivated, all that kind of stuff. But I kind of heard from the other side that they're also happy so far with Ryan Poles. That seemed to be like a two-way thing. That there's something gelling so far between the scouts that have already been in place, Ryan Poles there, and I think that that's really encouraging, at least going into this NFL draft, because they may only have 5 picks right now, but you still gotta get those 5 picks right.
You gotta get answers. You got to get the best evaluation possible, and these guys went through the full college season with Ryan Pace's grading scale. And I remember having conversations with Ryan about how it took over a year. This was Ryan Pace. It took over a year for the full transition from Phil Emery's style to Ryan Pace's style to fully be implemented, to fully be in place where everybody knows what they're looking for. Like, we brought this up, I think, in our last podcast about the Bears stamp. Ryan Pace had similar views, and like they had like Bears cards, or they put up like a helmet on the draft board that signified like this was a Bears player. So obviously similar philosophies. Again, extremely similar staff. There's only the majority of it is Ryan Pace's, or even longer, like we said, like with Phil Emery and whatnot. But I'm sure there's going to be changes. How much? Maybe Ryan Poles wants to win over some of these guys, because some of them are very talented. Some of them are very respected around the league. So they got to win them over, and I'm sure Poles has to win them over, especially if some of them have other opportunities that emerge here from the combine. They want, Poles surely wants them to be happy if he likes them, but we'll see. I think it's a good reminder, though, that the scout contracts, the front office executive contracts, are in different timelines than coaches. Usually they expire after the draft, and that's not to the end of next month, so there's a lot of time.
Now, the other thing I heard, and I don't know it's so much a negative as it's just maybe a little bit of a change of style. Poles kind of comes off as a serious guy, and that seems to be what it's been like behind the scenes too. And Ian Cunningham, I think, is very similar. So,
yeah, but like I would say serious, but not like overbearing with it, right? Like,
no, just like
smile there, yeah.
Very business-like, okay? And just like, I was told that they can sometimes be hard to read early on in the process. And maybe that's just because they understand how much work they got to do and all the things that need to be done. So again, I don't think that's necessarily a negative. It's just one of the observations that was communicated to me. But I do feel like the overwhelming view, and that's the same thing, like, I'll give you an example, like running into Field Gates from ESPN, who spent a year in Kansas City actually with Poles, like guys like that, just nothing but positive things to say about him. And so it seems like whether you worked with him a decade ago or you worked with him last year, like everyone seems to like the guy.
Yeah.
So that doesn't, again, none of this means that it's going to result in success. We're just trying to get you guys, the listener, as much information as we possibly can on who these guys are at this point, because we're all trying to figure it out right now.
What I would say there, and let me play devil's advocate, is I still remember Louis Riddick. I mean, everybody loves Louis Riddick going on a media car wash, basically praising Matt Nagy for everything that he was as a coach, and continuing to do so during Matt Nagy's ups and downs with the Bears. So everybody's in a honeymoon period. Everybody is. But I understand it. We'll see. The Bears haven't drafted anybody. They haven't signed anybody. They're still laying out different meetings and whatnot. So we'll see. Like I was interested in hearing how they changed watching film, like how Ryan Poles wants his scouts to watch film. Like how different can you watch film? I guess breakdowns. Maybe it's by position group and stuff like that. But I'm interested to see how that plays out more and more and more. Look who's here, by the way. He was lost. I was distracted. If I seem to be rambling, because Kevin was wandering aimlessly.
He couldn't find the big athletic sign.
I was just surveying Radio Row. My first time here. There was. Did you mention there was a big bench press going on? 24 reps back there.
Yeah, wow.
It was not me, by the way. It was not me.
We set the over under. Kevin, we set the over under for Jahns at 1.5.
Ooh. You know what? I'm gonna go push.
Yeah, like someone's got to help me. Like the guy's got to help.
Yeah. You'll get halfway up on your second.
That rep doesn't count. Then you got to go by combine rules.
That's true. All right, the under.
Yeah,
I'm confident in the under too.
Yeah.
Kev, the big question I have for you is: did John show up to dinner on time last night?
That's a loaded question, Adam.
We were both late.
Yeah. We were both late. But for good reason, it's a busy week here. We've got people to see. We got to do some mingling. We got to, get some gossip.
Yeah.
Get some rumors.
All right. Well, let's get to some of that gossip, because one of the guys we need to talk about has been one of the bigger names at the combine in terms of some of those conversations you have. That
Nick Foles.
Yes, Nick Foles will be traded for a first-round draft pick. We're hearing. No, that's definitely not happening. No, it's Mitch Trubisky. We've been
biggest name of the combine.
You think he's the biggest name in the combine, like in terms of non-draft prospects? Probably.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I think because there's this assumption with the Rodgers thing is just weird, right? And I don't think anybody can pretend to know what's going to happen there. With Trubisky, there's intrigue. I don't know if you mentioned this, but we had our athletic get together. I think 4 different beat reporters came up to us and asked what we think of Mitch, because they all are writing their stories and asking their people about the possibility of their team bringing him in.
Because their teams are interested.
There's a lot of teams that need a quarterback.
That interest is real too, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all saw those tweets from CBS Sports NFL. Okay, the teams see those.
Yeah.
They're excited about it.
Not beyond that, in your snark, but it's a supply and demand position. And look at all the teams that need starting quarterbacks. Every year this happens, and Mitch just happens to be a young former starter who has won more games than he's lost, who has the first-round pick pedigree. And I get it, maybe the Bears overdrafted him at 2, but he was still going to be a first-round pick at some point that year. And I think teams, there's not enough good quarterbacks.
I think, too, with this, with Trubisky, and I always talk about this, the ego in this league. Think about how many offensive coordinators, head coaches, quarterback coaches are talking to their general managers right now and saying, oh, I can make it work with this guy. They're finding the reasons, and they could be legitimate reasons, like they are convincing themselves that they're going to be the team, they're going to be the coaching staff that gets the most out of him. Look, I mean, you can. I don't know how what his ceiling is, and I think we saw moments where the Bears did use him properly, but that was still kind of limited. But we all know you can win with him. And one of the things we want to make the Justin Fields comparison. Mitch Trubisky did not turn the ball over that much. relative to like maybe the perception of what he was as a quarterback. And I think some teams are going to be, you want to play ball control style. If you have a good defense and you've got a good offensive line and you're going to get him outside the pocket and you're going to use him properly, we all know what he's like off the field. Any team's going to like having a guy like that in there. You can understand why there's going to be teams that are willing to not only have him be a starter, but give him a lot of money to do that.
So just in terms of talking ceiling, let me throw some names out to you guys. And where would you like rank Trubisky amongst these guys? You got Winston, Heineke, Bridgewater, Locke. Who am I missing here? Daniel Jones. Like, where does he fit in that conversation of these teams that, right? Like, think Sam Darnold.
Even if he's at the top of that, it's not very. It's not a great list. But yes, I see what you're saying. Those are the options.
But those are the options.
Yeah.
But that was the point. We talked about this last year, guys. I mean, I think the difference last year was that the trade market turned out to be robust enough that that's part of what pushed Mitch to just having to sign a 1-year deal as a backup. But a lot of those names you just brought up, Jahns, were the same names we were talking about last year on the free agent market. And we're like, Mitch is towards the top of that. I'll tell you this. I think I'd rank him, of all those names you just mentioned, depending on the situation, I would say for Jameis Winston, he's the only one I would put above him in terms of a guy that you're going to...
and he's coming off an ACL.
Yeah, and he's hurt. So that's where this gets into the supply and demand thing. And... we were at dinner the other night, and Hub Arkish brought up how he mentioned on the radio that he thinks he could get the Teddy Bridgewater deal that he got from Carolina, which was 3 years, $66 million, with $20 to $25 million guaranteed. And he got criticized like crazy on social media for saying such a thing. I don't think that's that crazy. I don't know if it gets to that level, but I do think here in 10 days or so, we're going to be talking about how Mitch got paid really well by a team.
It's Kevin, we did this story at the 2020 Combine, the last Combine we were at, and how the buzz about the Bears was bad, how the buzz about Trubisky was bad. It's different now. It's the buzz is better about the Bears, and the buzz about Trubisky is shifted.
The best, it's possible the best thing to happen to Mitch Trubisky was he didn't play last year.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's a little bit of this lingering intrigue because, you weren't, it would have been hard, teams have been hard pressed to bring in a guy who was benched the year before.
Yeah.
Well, last year he didn't play, and Buffalo's doing everything in their power to let people know how good he is. They probably want a compensatory pick from that, too.
But that stands out to me. They seem to be going out of their way to tell people on and off the record how much they adore this guy.
Yeah, and look, go ahead, Hoge.
Well, and just meanwhile, so he gets benched in 2020, doesn't play in 2021. Those 2 seasons for Matt Nagy were terrible. So, it's kind of, I think both of those things are at play, whereas, you can almost excuse some of what happened in 2020 because everything you saw from that point on from the coaching staff. And again, I still think the ceiling's limited. But, if you're Washington... Is he better than Taylor Heineke?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
We talked about this leading into the 2019 and 2020 seasons. If you could get 2018 Mitch Trubisky, you could be a playoff team. We saw it. Now, obviously, you had an incredible defense that put up absurd takeaway numbers and made things easier with short fields. So you do need help there. But, that's what the Bears, I think sometimes Matt Nagy wanted to try to turn Mitch into more than that. Well, they should have just, instead of harnessing what worked in 2018 and just understanding, this is who he is and you can still win with this, the offense could have been a little different. So I think there are going to be, again, goes back to that ego thing, right? There are going to be teams and coaches out there that look at the tape that tell themselves, hey, this team went to the playoffs with this guy twice, technically. We could do the same thing if our team is built the right way. I mean, Washington's interesting because you look at that defense, you look at the offensive coordinator too, and the type of systems they run. You can see how much Trubisky could fit there. Do they have the offensive line for him? All those different things. They've got some weapons at wide receiver. Do Bears play Washington this year? They host them, I want to say, at Soldier Field.
You might be right.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
Revenge game. The most interesting part of this, guys, is Mitch might be able to control where he goes. Like, he might be able to be picky because there could be multiple suitors. Like, he could pick the best situation for himself. Is it the Giants with Brian Dable, Joe Shane, guys he's very familiar with? Does that embolden him? Does that give him more confidence? Or do you go to Denver, where you got these great receivers, good running game, all these good things going on in Denver, other than the quarterback? Can you be that guy there?
I'd rather go to Denver, I think. But
you like Colorado?
Yeah, Colorado's a good place. And by the way, yes, Washington does come to Soldier Field this year, so that'll be that would be pretty cool. He already had that opportunity with Buffalo last year, but it was in the preseason.
Look good.
Yeah, I'll tell you one team I don't think is signing him though is the Indianapolis Colts.
No. Well, but again, look at them. Like Carson Wentz, did he have a great season? No. His numbers weren't too bad. You know, the Colts were a better team with him. But the desperation of the position, they're not happy with what Carson Wentz did. And if you look at it, Carson Wentz's numbers, there's at least 6 or 7 teams that would take that production from the quarterback position.
By the way, as we're kind of talking through these quarterbacks, and we haven't even gotten to the draft class of quarterbacks, it's a reminder that the Bears were smart to trade up for Justin Fields.
Yeah, that's where we're going with this, yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, because they would be, they could be one of these teams looking around, throwing another Hail Mary for Russell Wilson or, and then you look at this draft class, you look at these guys who are going to be available via free agency. We don't know yet what Justin Fields is, but I think we're confident that there's a lot more to like there than what some of these teams who don't have a quarterback are looking at.
Yeah. It's a good part of this conversation is that it's still the previous regimes, the Ryan Pace, Matt Nagy era, those decisions are still not only hanging over the Bears with Justin Fields, it's a great place to start, but here's the Mr. Trubisky conversation. Their decisions are still a lot of buzz about them still here in Indianapolis.
Okay, now our next partner is a pretty cool product. Let's talk about Athletic Greens. If you're looking to get better gut health, more energy, or a stronger immune system in a really easy, natural way, you've got to check out Athletic Greens. I'm sure you all agree that most of us are not huge fans of having to take a bunch of pills or vitamins in the morning. But with Athletic Greens, you can get rid of all those extra vitamin bottles and finally make some room in your cabinet. Athletic Greens is an all-in-one solution that actually tastes good. You'll really enjoy getting your daily vitamins. So what is this stuff? Well, with one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all those things. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into this flu and cold season. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Adams. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/Adams to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Hey, is your company or business having a tough time hiring the people you need? Doesn't matter what you're doing. It could be a coffee shop, retail, corporate. If you can't keep up with hiring, Workable helps all types of companies. There are 46% more jobs being posted than before the pandemic, and there are 44% fewer candidates applying to each one. So you need to find the right candidates and hire them fast, and Workable can help. Workable accelerates every step of your hiring process from finding to hiring. Workable helps you cast the widest net possible by posting your jobs to all the top job boards, more than 200 total with just one click. Whether you're hiring for your coffee shop or your engineering team, Workable is exactly what you need to hire the right people fast. Start hiring today with a risk-free 15-day trial. If you hire during that trial, which many do, it won't cost a thing. Just go to workable.com to start hiring. Workable is hiring made easy.
There's no better way to enjoy the games than by having some skin in the game, which is why BetMGM remains the exclusive betting partner of The Athletic. And as a fan of The Athletic, you can bet $10 to win $150 plus a free 3-month subscription or an extension to your subscription with The Athletic when you bet with BetMGM using our promo code. Just sign up at BetMGM.com and use the promo code TheAthleticPod at checkout to take advantage of the special offer from the king of sports books. That's bet $10 to win $150 plus 3 months free from The Athletic at BetMGM.com using the promo code TheAthleticPod at checkout. New customer offer. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and
Must be
conditions.
21 years of age or older to wager. Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, or West Virginia only. Excludes Michigan disassociated persons. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado, Nevada, and Virginia. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help in Michigan. 1-800-GAMBLER in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. And 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. In Tennessee, call or text the red line at 800-889-9789. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. Promotional offer not available in Nevada.
So what's the what are you guys hearing about Justin Fields?
Talent, but still needs a lot of work.
Yeah, I think one of the things we heard was the small sample size. I think there's a lot of trepidation to go too far in any direction with what he did last year. But I was curious, wondering if people would say, "Look, I saw that was bad. He's done. It's a bust." Nobody's saying that.
Yeah.
But there's
nobody's saying that.
No, there's just a curiosity, I think, that we all have about what he can be.
I've heard a lot of great things about Luke Getsy, but on the other side of that, I would bring up it's Janocko, right? Andrew Janocko, that's how you pronounce it. I'd mention
Janocko. Hoge Jahns.
Hoge Jahns? Is that what you just said?
I said you should know.
The QB coach.
I think it's just Janocko.
Janocko, yeah.
Okay. That's how we would say. That's how we would say in Chicago.
But that's the point. That's the point. Like NFL types, team types. Who's the quarterback's coach? Who? Where's he from? I got a lot of that, which I found very interesting.
Well, and Kevin, before you sat down, I was giving some things I had heard just about first impressions of these guys. Specifically, we were talking about Ryan Poles. But when it came to Getsy, that was all positive. And again, I'm talking about from people that have been around the building at this point. So Getsy was one that was like, oh yeah, that one's going to be good. Like that's a good pairing with Justin Fields. It's already off to a good start. He's definitely going to work to what Fields can and wants to do, and they're going to build the offense in that way. I think that is just an incredibly positive development if that's how it plays out.
Yeah, we knew from the second they hired Matt Eberflus that was going to be the most important hire. And, I don't think you can go – I guess you could go wrong, but it's good to draft or to hire somebody who was looked at to be a head coach, who's worked with Aaron Rodgers and knows what a good offense is. And just that style of play that he comes from, that tree from the Joe Moorhead, it just screams Justin Fields. That can work. And I just like the idea of this clean slate and knowing Fields is the guy, and that you can just build your entire program now around him. And look, if the Bears' idea of Dalton starting all year and being okay, and they could develop Fields on the side, we'll never know if that would have worked. But just knowing that, we talked about this last month or 2 months ago, the way Justin Fields sounded at Hallis Hall that day after Eberflus and Poles were introduced, you could tell he was energized. That was a hard year for him. And I think that, and Getsy's probably a part of that. He is excited about just being able to take ownership and just go.
Clean slate. Fresh grass, Kevin. Get it right.
Fresh grass.
Fresh grass. Everybody's getting fresh grass.
Did you say eating fresh grass?
No, fresh grass.
Oh. Okay.
Everybody's getting
fresh grass.
Getting.
All right. I don't be able to do. Yeah, I thought it was like a Les Miles situation. You remember he picked up the grass?
Oh,
and
no,
ate it during
I don't
the game?
remember that.
Yeah.
Kent remembers that.
Kent knows what's up.
I don't remember that.
It's because you don't watch college football.
That is very true. It's true. Confirmed.
All right. Now, all this being said, it sure seems like the Bears have a lot of needs, though, right? Like, there's some scenarios where maybe this goes a little bit better than expected. Like, guys really do buy into the hits philosophy and the style that Eberflus wants to implement, and maybe it gets the best out of them. But a lot of that stuff would have to go right, I think, before we're talking about the Bears being any type of playoff team in 2022.
You still need good players? Still need good players? Like the last guys that got based or graded on loafing were like Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs, Tommy Harris, Mike Brown, Charles Tillman. I mean, that's a good list of players. Alex Brown, Adewale Gunule. Like, these were – that's when the Bears were the best. And when loafs didn't happen, you know, maybe Lance Briggs loafed in practice, but he did not loaf in any games. You need players.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's that fresh – what is it, fresh grass?
Fresh grass.
Yeah.
Get it right, fresh
grass. Like, they can – you know, I thought that was interesting, this whole idea, and I know you guys talked about this, like, that Eberflus and Poles built their profiles, right? This is what we want out of this, and this. And it's easier said than done to find those guys that, A, fit, and then, B, are actually going to be good.
Yeah.
You know? Because you just – like, there's still a lot of unknowns there. But, like, the idea that you're going to find guys who are just fitting checking all these boxes for you, like, that's what you need to do. And like, I'm kind of looking forward to what happens in a couple weeks, because we still don't know these guys, and we know what they're looking for, but we don't know, like, who fits those things. Like, we're looking through all these free agents, and we're trying to play connect dots. We really don't know, like, the type of player that gets Ryan Poles going.
I'm a firm believer that when the hits philosophy, the loafs grading system was brought up, George McCaskey and Ted Phillips, they perked up. Like, oh, this worked. We know this worked. We've seen it work. We missed Lovie Smith, too. Where's Lovie? He's still coaching the league. But, like, that felt great to them. But this is where Ryan Poles has to come in. Brian Urlacher is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Lance Briggs deserves consideration. Charles Tillman changed football with the peanut punch. Mike Brown, if he stays healthy. Maybe we're having a different conversation about his Hall of Fame resume. But those were Julius Peppers, Hall of Famer. Still need the horses.
No, it's a good point, and that's where I think that gets back to the jux of the conversation here. Is there's a lot of needs. You can try to change the players that are there. For some of them, that'll work, and then I think, you know, for a lot of them, you're just gonna be like, this isn't a great fit, and that's where I don't think that this is a full rebuild. But you definitely have to retool your roster to what you're trying to build here, the culture you're trying to build here, the style of play you're trying to build here. Because I think we've been covering this league long enough to know that not every NFL player is going to respond to this idea of hustling on the back end of every single snap, not only in games but in practices.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, Roquan Smith, Jalen Johnson, even Eddie Jackson. It's not a bad place to start. It really isn't for that defense. It's not. Just like Justin Fields is not a bad place to start on offense. But
well, I think, too, you know, because you have a lot of needs, and I know it's something we've discussed, is like that's why that second wave is so appealing.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Poles could essentially, you know, sign 12 veterans. Maybe 3 of them get 3 or 4 year deals. The rest of them get 1 year, let's give it a shot. And, you know, if of those 12 guys, you know, 4 hit, right? And then you can keep them, and they're part of your foundation moving forward. I mean, I almost look back to the way the Cubs built what they are, right? The Cubs went at it where they just, like, threw a lot of darts. And it obviously worked out perfectly the way that they got a lot of those darts worked out. A lot of those guys turned out to be great players. That's a different situation because we're talking about veterans. We're talking about free agency right now. But that's the situation Ryan Poles is in, that he's got the cap space. They have the position need. We were talking about this the other day. Like, on the defensive side of the ball, you just listen to them. You have 5 starters.
Yeah.
That's it, pretty much. So, like, there's a lot, you know, you go get a lot of those guys that fit your system, and you hope you find a couple of Keem Hickses out of it. Or you might or do you go after the actual Keem Hicks? Probably not.
Probably not. No.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I also don't sense. We talked a little bit about this the other day. I think it's a less than 5% chance that Allen Robinson's back.
Allen Robinson's here.
Yeah,
He's in Indianapolis. Yeah. We've seen him a bunch lately.
Yeah, he's been out and about. He might have done the 24 reps on the bench press. Maybe he stepped in there.
He's back.
Yeah.
Putting himself back in the mix.
RG3 is walking around with his combine, sweatshirt.
Come on.
Because, I saw him, this prospect looks just like RG3. I was he's walking towards me at the JW Starbucks, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys shouted it out, but our colleague Bo Wolf.
We talked about it.
All right, yeah.
Although Bo just walked up here, and I'm extremely disappointed that he had one of these and not a Starbucks coffee.
Oh. Well, I went there today.
he should have gotten free Starbucks the rest of the week for the publicity.
Yes.
Well, I went there today, and the line was very long, and I 100% blame Bo for that.
Same.
But, yeah, I was over there, and this guy, and then our colleague Lindsey Jones, she goes, what do you think about RG3? And I go, that really was RG3. Maybe he's out here to work out. He's a media guy now. Yeah. He's one of us.
Teams need quarterbacks.
That's true.
Kev, how would you evaluate the way I handled Wisconsin banking in a game-winning shot, basically at the buzzer?
Did you hear my call when the shot went up? I got in play-by-play mode, which I used to do back in my heyday in college. Did some play-by-play there.
That's the second time heyday's been used on this podcast.
So when the shot went up, I yelled out "Hoge" for the win.
Oh,
yeah,
missed that.
So and I timed it well, and because
banked it.
Bank was open. Hoge was fired up. Great win for the Badgers. So yeah, I think that was Hoge. Was that your highlight of the combine?
I mean, yeah, it's a highlight of my week for sure. Let's be honest. Since I had to leave the combine and now I'm doing everything possible to avoid the flu. I'm good so far. Let's keep it that way.
Did you notice, by the way, Jahns, that Bo and Shield came over here, and then they're kind of the rivals of Hoge Jahns, the Birds with Friends guys, right, Kent? That's kind of
yeah. Y'all are probably our two most popular locally focused NFL pods.
Yeah, I think there's a.
They might see some little turf war going on. We need to be the best local pod at the Athletic, not Hoge Jahns.
Yeah, so
maybe they see that as a threat.
So they were scouting. Is what you're saying? They were scouting us out.
They might, and maybe that's why they backed away to get an all 22 look or
they're over there
on all 4 look at our table.
All they have to do is look at Kent's hat.
There you go.
Yeah, they don't have merch yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so because I will say. I read some of their stuff, and the commenters, the Birds with Friends fans, I think are similar to the Hoge Jahns fans. I mean,
very similar.
Yeah, so which is a good thing. Like I said, as a compliment that they're.
We do a little crossover episode at some point. The Bears play the Eagles.
The Eagles.
So when the Eagles came to Chicago for that playoff game. This was before Johnsy was at the Athletic.
This is Nick Foles versus Mitch Trubisky.
Yes, we went out in Chicago, and the Athletic we were still a little certainly smaller than we are now, and we put out a thing like, hey, we're going to be at this bar in Old Town the night before the game if anybody wants to come, and we were with Bo and Shield.
Yeah,
and I think a couple Bears fans came in. All these people started coming in, the Birds with Friends fans.
Yeah,
that were coming in to talk ball with Bo and Shield.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. So that was.
Well, the Eagles do come to Soldier Field this year.
They do. We could try again, but Bo is kind of approaching again, and he's keeping his distance because he knows that he doesn't want to.
He's talking to Nate Tice. They're getting the gossip over here.
Everyone just asking. Bo has become a celebrity because of the story, man. Yeah. Everyone's.
That was a hit. That was a hit story.
It was.
TheAthletic.com/Hoge Jahns and obviousshirts.com for the merch. So is Kent wearing his Hoge Jahns hat? I can't see him.
I'm wearing the beanie,
yes.
Hoge. I'll turn the camera around and I'm wearing the beanie because you were here when it was very warm and we were like T-shirts walking around. The Indianapolis cold weather is officially here today.
It's back.
Yeah, it's back. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's back here in Chicago, too. It's 30 degrees.
I will say the Birds with Friends don't really have a quote-unquote a fish man.
No.
Because they have, they
have the Burman.
literal Burman. Yeah. As Zach Berman
Everyone needs a
approaches
fish
too.
man in their life, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, here comes the Birdman.
Yeah. It's funny because these guys have no idea we've been talking
We've been talking about them the whole time.
the
Like,
whole
Bo
time.
walks up, he does the Starbucks story, and he doesn't have a Starbucks in his hand.
Yeah.
Where's the Starbucks?
Yeah, we need to send it to Starbucks corporate. And
I don't know if we have Hoge Jahns Birds with Friends crossover listeners, but this segment's going to be huge for that category of people. Yeah. Yeah.
They should put it on that podcast, too. All right, guys, we should get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your time in Indianapolis. I miss you. I miss Indy. It's probably not going to be back in Indy next year, so that just made me even more sad.
Dallas or Frisco. Where are they at? Kent, Frisco?
Frisco? It might be
Frisco, Texas.
Who are you asking about the combine next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be at Frisco. It might be at the Star because they have like a hotel and a hospital and all that right there by the Cowboys facility. So I think that's what they're going to try to do. Maybe do some workouts at the stadium for TV or something, but they've got it all set up literally at their team headquarters to host a whole combine.
No
they got
kidding.
Restaurants all around there.
How many hotels?
They have an Omni hotel that's attached to the facility.
Yeah.
And then they have
Need more than one, yeah.
Oh no, then they have around the facility there's other hotels, but there's one that's literally like the JW is here attached to the actual venue of where the combine.
But the other hotels are walking distance? Like I just got to walk across the parking lot?
I think so, yeah. I think there's
all right.
maybe a short Uber.
I just don't want to get on a shuttle.
Texas is a little more spread out.
Of course.
Because it's not going to be downtown Dallas or something because Frisco's, a little more suburban. But I think as far as like the combine stuff, if it is in Dallas, like what we're doing right now, it'll be pretty nice for us.
Okay.
I think the Star is definitely big enough to host the workouts, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you need all of Lucas Oil.
They got a full football field, and it's all wired for TV already. It's ready to go, I think. So we'll see. I want to stay in Combine. Stay in Indy, though, for the St. Elmo's factor. Just for that. It's not the same Combine without that. All right, thanks.
All right, there's your pitch for Dallas next year's Combine. Follow us on Twitter at Adam Hoge, at Adam Jahns, at K Fishbain. Read all of their coverage on The Athletic, theathletic.com/Hoge and Jahns. Find that Starbucks story, too, for Bo Wolf. It's worth a read. You can read me on NBCSportsChicago.com. Merch on ObviousShirts.com and the YouTube channel. If you're just listening to this podcast, you're wondering about half the things we were talking about with the video, you got to go to YouTube, check that out, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. We appreciate all the support there as well. Guys, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next week.
See ya.
Hoge for the win.